Pets are amazing. They come in all shapes and sizes, and honestly, who doesn't melt when they see something cute like this, and this, and this, and this? For me, pets are a cool idea on paper, which is why I collect Pokemon cards instead of having pets. Cards don't poop on your bed, or they're not loud, and they don't need to go outside in the middle of the night, which instead of getting a pet is why I'm collecting the cutest set of Pokemon cards ever. Well, I know what you're asking. What is the cutest Pokemon set of all time, Dave? The answer is simple, it's Radiant Generations set. It is by far the cutest set of all time. 32 cards of extreme cuteness. And I'm giving myself 1 week to collect all 32 cards, so let's do this.
We began our journey to Shipshewana, a rural area in Indiana known for its flea markets, the Amish, and the Shipshewana Card Fest. And so we got to the complex, and when we walked in, I could not believe how many tables there were. Over 500 tables of sports and Pokemon cards. At this moment, I knew that we are going to find a lot of cute cards from Radiant Generations, and we may even finish the whole set here today. Radiant Generations only has 32 cards to it, but these 32 cards are in a league of their own when it comes to cuteness. And hopefully this makes me feel better about not having a pet. We went to our first table to check the cards when all of a sudden a banner fell over. Was this an omen or did someone just sneeze too hard? I began looking at the cards and already saw some Radiant Generation cards, but they were slabbed and just a little too expensive. And so we are given a binder to look at, and we found the Flareon EX, which we already had, but ours was laminated and pretty much worthless. I decided not to take the Flareon EX and went down some random row of tables when we came across a seller who had the Generation packs for a jaw-dropping $220. These packs carry 2 Radiant Generation cards inside of them, so if we get desperate, maybe we might rip open a pack. Another seller who was nearby directed us to his table to show us his cards, and he showed us some of his Radiant Generation cards. He had the Sylveon EX, the Gardevoir, and the Pikachu EX in the case. And I decided to not do this because they were just slightly overpriced, and I wanted to see if other vendors had other cards that were a little bit cheaper. We continued walking down the aisle when all of a sudden we met the most organized vendor I had ever met. She had every card organized by every set and generation of cards. I told them what I was looking for, and right away she knew where it was. So I looked within the box and could not believe how organized everything was. It was crazy. I didn't find anything, but she directed me to a binder on the other side of the table, and immediately I found my first common card, Snorunt, along with the Gulpin, the Fletchling, and the Hollow Floette. I was so excited. These 4 cards gave us a burst of energy because we only had 27 cards remaining, because we already had the Flareon EX from the last card show. We had found comments from the set already, and it had only been 20 minutes since we had been there. This was going to be a piece of cake. I put the 4 cards in the binder, and we walked off down another aisle to stop at another table. This vendor had tons of Prismatic Evolution product. He pulled out a binder that was from a friend of his who was helping him run the table at the show.
Nice.
And he handed it over to me, and right on the first page were 5 Radiant Generation cards just staring at me. I looked at the next page and saw the Sylveon EX and Flareon EX. 7 cards in 1 binder. I turned the page again, and the entire set of Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard blinded me. This was an incredible find. That was 10 cards at 1 table. So I flipped back to the first page and began to pull out all the cards that I needed. This meant that we had already 14 cards within the first half hour of the show. And we were nearly halfway done with the set. This was going to be way easier than I expected. I just collected the most rare cards in the set along with my favorite 3 cards from the set about the story of a trainer and his growing friendship between him and his Pokemon. How cool can that be? After pulling out and handing them to the vendor, I showed him the laminated Flareon EX that I got from the previous trade show. And he was so confused as to why anyone would sell that card, let alone laminate it, or even purchase it. And as I put the cards in the binder, Jovi found a cute dog that was walking by, Do you think that this dog is as cute as these Pikachus? I beg to differ, but tell me down in the comments down below. We had made our way around the show without any sort of organized manner, so we were going back to tables and all that, and so we started to come back to some of the tables that we had already seen, but we decided to do a little more digging through the binders this time instead of just looking at the cases. Because we already had the big hits, and most of these vendors are going to have only the big hits in the case, not really the commons or uncommons. And so we knew that we would have to start digging through these binders, which it couldn't be that hard to find. We had already found 14 Pokemon cards. And the table that we had come up to had vendors who were decked out for this occasion. One was in a suit, and then one was in a Gengar pajamas. And as I went through a binder, I stumbled upon Esper, a super cute cat who clearly rules with an iron paw.
After purchasing Princess Esper, we were down to 17 cards left, which meant we were one away from being halfway done.
17. We have 17 cards left, dude.
17 cards.
17. Okay.
And we've only been here for an hour.
We've only been here for an hour. The hardest one, like, it's going to be the commons that are going to get us.
Now we're going to start digging.
Okay.
We were well on our way to finishing this challenge by the time we left this card show. And we made our way to the other end of the hall where we continued to find vendors who had glass cases, but not any binders that we could really search through. And if they did have binders, it was full of modern sets or vintage sets from the 1990s. And this is what makes Radiant Generations so tough to collect. It's because it's a set from 10 years ago, so vendors will only bring the heavy hitters to these card shows, not necessarily the commons or uncommons. And that's what we needed, were the commons and uncommons at this point. And while we were hunting for cards, Jovi kept telling me to tell the story of my laminated Flareon.
Hey Dave, you want to share your funny story?
About my...
Your Flareon?
None of these cards are laminated, are they?
No.
Okay, good.
Yours?
I traded for a card, and it was in a top loader, and it looked like it had like a penny sleeve on it, but it was laminated instead. So...
Who laminates a card?
And then
we kept hopping from vendor to vendor with no luck, but we ran into a vendor who might be able to change that just with how much modern vintage he had. He had tubs and tubs of blue cards from over 10 years ago, and we began to dig through them. And while we were digging through them, Jovi confessed to us for the first time, to me and to the vendor, that his favorite Pokemon was Tatsugiri, which I was totally unaware of until that moment. And then the vendor, out of sheer generosity, gave Jovi a Japanese Tatsugiri card that was full of color and personality.
that's awesome.
Oh.
While we had great conversations with the vendor, we didn't find any Radiant Generation cards, and until I ran into a vendor named Sam, who had this sweet Mega Charizard hat. He went through his binders and found a Jirachi that was just flying through a sky dazzled with magic.
Oh,
Let's go.
There's the...
The Tatsugiri!
Yeah, in Japanese. Yeah.
This meant that we had finally reached our halfway point, and we needed only 16 cards
So
remaining.
much. Cool hat.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for the Jirachi, Sam.
As we walked away from Sam's table, it started to set in that we might not get the cards that we need
Should
today.
we open up packs?
Are we going to open up packs?
Those unopened generation packs were beginning to entice me now that I started to feel the heat.
There's no way. I don't know that I can. It's not worth it.
Each pack carried 2 Radiant Generation cards, and I tried to ask ChatGPT to see if this was a
You
good
seriously
idea.
just ChatGPT?
I mean, when in doubt, ChatGPT.
But I forgot that I was in Amish country, and the cell service was just nowhere to be found.
I have no signal. GPT. It failed me.
GPT, no.
In the end, something deep down inside told me to keep them sealed.
This is what happens.
So we sat down to figure out our strategy to think through what to do next.
All right, here's my idea, is that we go meet the King of Cards. Because right now we're not gonna get this here. I think this is all we got. I think we're gonna have to go to a card store and see if they have Radiant collection.
Is that even a stretch then? Still.
Oh, it's 100% a stretch. But they have bulk.
Okay.
That's the thing, is they have bulk, but it might take hours.
We're gonna have to dig through them.
We're gonna have to dig.
My fingers. My four fingers. My four fingers.
Joe beats Diglets.
Joe Diglets. That's so gross. Okay, what do we got?
Again, it is all literally commons. It's commons, all commons. And if we open up packs, you only get one. You get two, I think 1 or 2 Radiant Generation cards in there. To open up packs is worth nothing. Like, you were paying $400 for a penny. Like, that's the crazy part.
But we need the set, Dave. We need the set.
I think we're gonna have to go to Infinite TCG. Do you know where that is?
No.
It's in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We might call them on the way
Yeah.
and see if they have anything.
After walking by the King of Cards, who was surrounded by a bunch of loyal fans, we went by one last table that had multiple binders sitting out on the table. This was our last chance of finding any Radiant Generations at this card show before we had to look for other ways to collect these cute cards. And after looking through the binders, the vendor said that he had a Wally card, but when he showed it, it was a Pixar Wally, not the Wally that we needed from Radiant Generations. And so continuing to look through the cards, I found the most depressing card of the entire set, if not in all of Pokemon, Frostless. With 3 teardrops on this card, this ice Pokemon says, "Spring is already here, so goodbye." But that wasn't going to melt my joy away because that meant we had 15 cards left. We had only 15 cards remaining. I was so excited. But this was the end of our journey at the Shipshewana Card Fest. Overall, I felt like this was a good haul, but I knew the uphill battle that we still had by trying to find all the common and uncommon cards that we had left. And even though I had 6 days remaining to get these 15 cards, I knew they weren't just going to be sitting out in broad daylight, so I had to act fast. And here was my plan. First, I was going to talk to Landon, a friend who had tons and tons of cards from the XY era. Second, I was going to look through the bulk at a card store.
All right, we're on our way to meet Landon. I'm so excited. This means that we will have 10 cards left, which I'm still a little scared that we're not going to get this. It's just trying to get my first set challenge. I thought this was going to be a lot easier than I had anticipated, but I guess not.
I arrived at Landon's office, and when I walked in, I saw Brian, who works also in the same office space. Landon grabbed the cards and gave me 5 well-needed cards for such a great deal. This gave me a well-needed boost if I was going to have a shot at finishing this challenge. On the last day of the challenge, I went to Infinite TCG, the local card store in Fort Wayne, and if I had any chance of getting any commons or uncommons from this set, it would be this one place that would have them. The hardest part about the bulk here at Infinite was that it was organized by energy and not by era, so I just knew this was going to be finding a needle in the haystack. I was so overwhelmed by how many boxes of bulk there actually was, but I just had to start somewhere. So what I did is I started out with the energy that I knew had the least amount of cards, fairy type. I needed 3 type of cards left, and this had the least amount of bulk here. I sifted through the cards and went through one box, and there it was, a Flabébé. I had never received so much excitement from pulling a common card. I mean, there was a rush of adrenaline when I found this card. I was filled with relief that my effort wasn't in vain. I couldn't find any more fairy types, so I tried out trainers to find the floral crown, but just had no luck at all. I transitioned over to the grass type to find the Chikorita and the Shroomish, and as I pulled out the first set of cards out of the book box, I found the Chikorita. Another wave of excitement came over me. We were inching ever so closer to our goal, and now we just needed 8 cards left. I sifted through so many leaf type cards, and as I did that, Shroomish became a new favorite of mine. I found many of his cards, and Shroomish is just quite the character. It's just a mushroom chock full of emotions. I mean, why is he so mad at this tree? And then I found another Gulpin card, and Gulpin is, again, one of my favorite Pokemon now. Just the vibes that Gulpin gives off is just amazing. After going through all of the bulk, I found on the website a Dedenne that I needed. That means that we had picked up 3 more cards, which left us with 7 cards remaining. and not a lot of time left. So this challenge was a lot harder than I thought it'd be. I figured after the trade show, we'd just have a few cards left to grab, and yeah, I wasn't even close. Sure, I could have ordered them online, but that misses the entire point. The real thrill of this is the hunt. The binders, the trades, the stories behind every single card. But honestly, I had a blast chasing what might be the cutest Pokemon set ever made. 7 cards left, and that's not gonna stay that way forever, because this isn't the end. It's just the next page of the binder.